Welcome, everyone, to 3 on 3 Blazers. I am Nate Hansen, Jared Cowley with me, Max Barr, producer extraordinaire on the ones and twos. And you might realize this is the voice I'm usually hearing at this point in the podcast. I didn't hear, "What's good, everyone?"
No.
Our man, Orlando Sanchez, is on assignment, I guess they say here in the biz. He is in Seattle for tonight's Timbers and Sounders game, a big playoff matchup. So we are without Orlando here for today's 3 on 3 podcast. I think we'll be able to survive just one, hopefully just one podcast without him.
We'll try to hold it down. We're definitely going to miss his energy. I'm glad that you brought out the "what is good, everyone," because I just don't feel like it's a podcast without hearing that from Orlando.
And while we're missing Orlando, the Blazers are going to continue to miss Maurice Harkless as we look forward to this upcoming week. They start off the week against the Clippers, and in our news and notes as we start this podcast, Harkless obviously out for the 7th game in a row. The Clippers have a couple guys out, Luke Mbah-a-Moute, Avery Bradley, but notably Tobias Harris questionable tonight, Nick Stauskas questionable tonight. So for really an important game.
I'm sorry. I have that wrong. Stauskas is listed as probable.
Probable.
Yeah.
Probable for
My
tonight.
bad.
So it looks like he'll play, but Tobias Harris, illness, a big question mark for the Clippers in a game that's really important for both teams as they try to, make their way separate in the Western Conference.
That'd be a big thing for Portland if he doesn't play. I think that Harris is the Clippers' best player, and anytime you take someone like that out of the lineup, it should make the job easier for the Blazers, and they just continue to, like last season. I mean, we'll see if Harris plays, but they played so many games last season where the best player on the opposing team, was out because of injury or whatever reason, and it's just a continuing trend this season, and the Blazers are just really lucky for some reason in that regard.
I mean, we saw it against Houston. James Harden was out. The Pelicans, once again, Anthony Davis was out. The Timberwolves, Jimmy Butler didn't play, and the Blazers were able to take advantage in all 3 of those matchups and come out with wins. For the Blazers this year, last week was another good week for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have yet to say that was a so-so week or just an average week for this team. They followed, they went 3-1 again last week, and they've just been consistent so far this year. And that will take us right into our first question for 3 on 3 Blazers. You can see our answers on kgw.com. The first question is, what reasons do you have to believe that the Blazers' strong start is legitimate? What reasons do you have to believe it's fool's gold? Jared, let's start with why the Blazers' 8-3 start is legitimate.
Okay, that's. I think I talked about this 2 weeks ago, or maybe it was last week, where I talked about how so far what the Blazers are doing, most of it seems sustainable. You don't have any individual players or even what the team is doing playing out of their minds. Like you saw, we talked about this during the 13-game winning streak last season. A lot of players were playing way above what you expect from them, and I haven't seen too much of that this season. The Blazers rank 3rd in the NBA in offense and 5th in defense, and everything they're doing right now that they're doing very well are things that they did well last season as well. If you look at their rebounding, which is a big part of their defense, they're the 2nd best rebounding team in the league. Last season, they were the 4th best rebounding team in the league. And again, they're holding opponents to a low field goal percentage. They rank 4th in the NBA this season. They ranked 4th in the NBA last season. So those things, which are kind of that's the bedrock of their defense, I think those things are sustainable. And so I think what we're seeing from the defense, just like last season, I think we're going to continue to see that going forward the rest of this season.
So you kind of see that the fact that we all know this team can score, but the fact that they're playing defense for the 2nd straight year is the strongest reason for why this 8-3 start isn't fake. This is the real deal.
Yeah, I've always felt that the difference between good teams or teams that are fun to watch and really, contending level teams is defense. And so far we're getting that kind of defense from the Blazers again for the 2nd season in a row during the regular season.
Yeah.
This is not a playoff conversation, and so once we get to the playoffs, if the Blazers make the playoffs, we'll have all kinds of different conversations about this. Yeah. But looking at the regular season, I just think the Blazers are a very good regular season team.
Yeah. For me, the biggest reason or the strongest argument for why this start is legitimate, you kind of hit on it a little bit when you said, they're not relying on singular great performances from night to night in order to squeak out wins. They've consistently been good on both ends of the floor. Their best player this year, Damian Lillard, has been consistent.
Yeah.
They've been a consistently good shooting team. Generally, they've been a good three-point shooting team. They've had a couple games here and there where maybe it wasn't as great or as good as they had hoped for, but you're going to run into that in the NBA. You know, shooting a little bit comes and goes game to game. Defensively, they've been a good team consistently all year. Rebounding, they've been a good team all year. The bench all year has consistently been good, and I think that's the strongest argument you can make is last year, even during the 13-game winning streak, there were games where Damian Lillard had to come to the rescue in the fourth quarter. He did it against the Suns and he did it against the Lakers, notably, in order to save them from and keep that winning streak alive. They haven't needed really a performance like that.
They've had several wins this season where both Dame and CJ have played poorly, and the rest of the team picked them up.
Yeah, and you talked about offensive and defensive ratings. Some of these offensive stats, you know, they're good in pretty much every category offensively. Third offensive rating, they're in top 10 in points per game, top 10 field goal percentage, 12th in three-point field goal percentage, so maybe just a little bit better than league average so far. First in free throw shooting, top 2 in rebounding. The only thing that they're really not that great in is assists. But again, if you're scoring the basketball the way they are, you know, they're scoring close to the rim and they're making outside shots. You know, you'd like to see more assists, but they've consistently been scoring, so you're really not going to change what you're seeing.
Yeah, it's a mystery why they don't get more assists.
Yeah.
Last season, it seemed like when their offense was about league average, you looked at that as a weakness of the team and that they needed to pass the ball more, have more ball movement to improve the offense. But the offense is great this season, and they're still not getting a lot of assists. So it's just, I guess it's a byproduct of Terry Stott's offense and the players they have on the team.
Yeah, and I looked at this last night. They were third in net rating in the NBA and third best in point differential.
Yeah.
You know, they're 9.4 on the positive side on both of those, and that's not something that right there I think is a statistic that shows they're not just barely beating teams.
Right.
They're beating them by a healthy margin so far this year. And I took a look of the 8 games they've won this year. 7 of them have been by 10 points or more, and the one that wasn't was by 9 points. So of the games they're winning, they are controlling those games, and that's something good teams do. So I think that's the strongest reason for why this start could be legitimate, and this is something we could see. Maybe not the pace they're going right now, because they're at about a 60-win pace right now. So, but maybe this can be a team that, you know, gets to 50 to 55 win area this year.
The way they're playing right now, I mean, it's possible. And having all those games that decided by 10 points or more speaks to your consistency narrative. Last season, I remember around this time in the season, their record was a little worse than now, but not too much worse. And their net rating was really high, but it was partly because they had a couple games which were just really big victories. I mean, the Phoenix Suns game to start the season, a 50-point win or whatever it was, to start the season really skewed those stats. And even though they have the 30-point win against the Timberwolves, they've consistently beaten teams by double digits, and so it's been an impressive start.
And even of all their 3 losses, all of them have been by less than 10 points, and 2 of them were by less than 5.
Yeah.
There's only been one game the Blazers have played so far. They didn't lead at some point in the fourth quarter, and that was the Lakers rematch last Saturday when the Lakers came to town because they opened the big lead in the third quarter. Blazers fought back but couldn't really take the lead in that one. So let's go on the other end here.
All right.
Because fans, they don't want to hear this. They don't want to hear it. We're only 11 games into the season.
They need the pessimism.
Yeah, we need to bring that back. So what reasons do you have to believe that this 8-3 start is fool's gold?
So I think it's their offense.
Okay.
Their offense is much better than last season. And when you look at what's different between this season and last season on offense, it's the Blazers' ability to make shots. Right now, they rank 7th in effective field goal percentage and 5th in true shooting percentages. So top 10 in both of those categories. Last season, they ranked 23rd and 17th in those statistics, respectively. And so I looked at the players, and most of the players are shooting about what you think they're going to shoot, you know, based on their career averages. But 3 players, Zach Collins, Yusuf Nurkic, and Evan Turner, are all shooting significantly better than they did last season and over their careers. Zach Collins' true shooting percentage and effective field goal percentage is 70% and 65% right now. Last season was 48 and 46. Those are really bad shooting percentages to begin with. Nurkic is at 55 and 59. Last season he was 51 and 53. Turner is at 54 and 56. Last season 49 and 52. I think because these players are such a big part of the Blazers offense. If they can sustain those shooting percentages and continue to score the ball efficiently, then I think this offense is for real. But if they come back to their, their career averages and more of what you might expect them to do, then I think that we could see that offense, fall down a little bit in those rankings and not be, a top 3 offense like it is right now.
And namely, of those 3 guys you mentioned, Evan Turner and Zach Collins have been 2 players who have made that bench so consistently good this year for the Blazers. So as you mentioned, if they dip a little bit in their shooting percentage or what they've traditionally done, then the Blazers could see some negative consequences there. For me, why this could be fool's gold, we talked about it a little bit, the scheduling. The Blazers' strength of schedule has been middle of the pack so far this year, but we talked about it. They played the Lakers' first game with LeBron. Those guys, they're trying still to figure out what they are. The Rockets, they got to play without James Harden. Pelicans, they got without Anthony Davis. Timberwolves, without Jimmy Butler. That's half their wins right there. That's 4 of their 8 wins. So I think a fan could look at that and have a little bit of pause when they see that. It's like, they've beaten some good teams, but those teams didn't have their best players out there on the floor that night. The other reason, and I know we're talking about regular season, but I can't erase what happened last April in that postseason. Until I see postseason success from this team, I'm going to have a hard time being 100% sold on any regular season.
Even during the regular season.
Success they have. I need to see them do it in the postseason. And you can say that's fair, you can say that's unfair, whatever your feeling is. For me, I need to see it happen in April or May if they get that far, as opposed to, October through March.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's really hard to erase what happened in the playoffs last season. And do you think that will tent the way you view the regular season the entire season? I mean, if they continue to play like this, through the end of December into the new year, do you think you'll still feel that way? Do you think the playoff apathy will last that long for you?
For me, it definitely will. Like I said, it doesn't mean that if the Blazers, as you say, continue to be this consistently good all year, that when they get to the postseason, we're picking, are they going to win this first round matchup? I might pick them.
Yeah.
But I still have serious concerns about this team until I see them perform well in the postseason.
Yeah, and you look at some of the things they're doing right now and the ways they're having success, especially with the success of the bench. That's not something that necessarily translates into postseason competition.
No.
And so we'll see, but we're a long ways away from the playoffs.
We are. So let's move on to question number 2. Blazers have played 11 games so far this season, 8 up, 3 down. What has been their best win of the season so far? What has been their worst loss of the season so far? Let's start with best win.
Okay, so there are 2 wins that the Blazers have this season that going into the game, I thought both of them were sure losses.
Okay.
And it was the game at Indiana, and it was the game, the last game they played against the Bucks at home. And I think that, because it was on the road, the Indiana game gets a little, notch in his belt there, but I think that the Bucks are just a better team, and that was an even more surprising win for me. So even though I thought that was close, I went with the Bucks. The Bucks are just they're the only team other than the Blazers right now that ranks in the top 5 in offense and defense. Mm-hmm. They have, that was only their second loss of the season. Their only other loss was to the Celtics. They have one of the best players in the NBA in Giannis Antetokounmpo, and he is a matchup nightmare unlike anyone other than Anthony Davis in the NBA. And plus, they have the kind of team they're long, they're switchable, they can switch on to, all their defenders can switch on to different players. That just gives a team like the Blazers in the past a lot of trouble, especially Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. And so for the Blazers to come out and really control that game from start to finish, that was the most surprising result for me, and so that was the most impressive win.
I mean, the Bucks had beaten the Blazers 4 times in a row going into this matchup, so that speaks to a little bit how you said the Bucks are a matchup nightmare for the Blazers. And you said a key word there that I think, and I'm also going with the Bucks as the best win so far this season. They controlled that game. They outscored the Bucks in every quarter.
Yep.
So they won every quarter. And the Bucks came into that game, they weren't just winning. They were bulldozing. They were bullying other teams. They had wins going into that night by 35, 15, 22, 30, 15, and 17. They're not just like the Blazers. They're not just barely squeaking by teams. They are dominating opponents. And so for them to come into Portland and for the Blazers to control that game the way they did. Giannis, they limited him, Al-Farouq Aminu, Evan Turner, to 23 points, his second lowest output of the season. And they forced 6 turnovers, which was his second highest. And then you get the performance from C.J. McCollum, scoring 40 points, and then they made 17 three-pointers as a team. So it wasn't just CJ. A lot of other guys were chipping in as well. I think it was their best all-around performance this year, and it couldn't have come at a better time because, as you said, the Bucks are probably the best team the Blazers have played so far this year.
Yeah, and I kept expecting the Bucks to make a run and maybe even take the lead back because even in the fourth quarter, I kept thinking the Bucks are a better team than the Blazers. Yeah. They're going to come back and end up winning this game. And they made a run at the start of the fourth quarter. They scored 8 points in a row and cut what was a double-digit lead, I think, down to 5. Yeah. And the Blazers, the Bucks had all the momentum. The Blazers weren't playing good defense. They were, playing one-on-one on offense. And then Myers Leonard, of all people, he hits a step-back three-pointer with the shot clock winding down to push the lead back to 8. Then they get a couple defensive stops. Evan Turner scores a couple times, and they're back into double digits, which allowed them to kind of bridge that gap until Damian and CJ got back in, and then CJ took over. So during that stretch when the Bucks scored 8 in a row, it felt like last season, like there were times where the Blazers would get leads, in the third quarter, and then they'd give them away, and especially against good teams. And I thought that was going to happen again, and it didn't. And so, just such an impressive win.
One note on the other win you talked about before we get to the worst loss, the Pacers win, the honorable mention win in this category. The Blazers bench in that win outscored their starters.
I know.
It's probably been a long time that the Blazers bench outscored their starters, and the Blazers actually won the game.
Right.
And so that, to me, is impressive performance. That's a sign. That's a game they would have never won last year, and a game they won this year. This one will probably be pretty quick. They've only got 3 losses, so we've only got 3 choices to pick from. Their worst loss of the season.
It's got to be the Wizards.
Yeah.
The Wizards are a train wreck right now. They only have 2 wins. One of them is against the Blazers. And it wasn't just that they got beat by a bad team. They got beat by a bad team at home. And there were a lot of things that the Blazers did poorly, especially down the stretch. Defensive, mistakes and miscues, and they missed shots. And it was just such a... that game, that loss is as embarrassing as it was frustrating to watch. It's just a really bad game.
Max is smiling over there. He agrees with you on that one. And I'm completely with you on the Wizards. The Wizards, they are a bad team right now. Like Scott Brooks, that seat has got to be getting really hot over there in D.C. And as you mentioned, it was defensive breakdowns at the end of the game. They had that game won in the fourth quarter, and Terry Stotts wanted them to foul at the end of the game. Some miscommunication, and Markieff Morris hits the 3 to send it into overtime, and then we all know the Wizards were able to get a key basket from John Wall, who was struggling that night, and then they went on to win.
Morris hit 6 3-pointers in that game, and it was mostly because the Blazers didn't rotate and had defensive, miscommunication that led to him being open. And just the less we talk about that game, the better.
That's a game the Blazers locker room would tell you, we let that one slip away, and they know it. So let's move on to question number 3.
Really quick, I would like to ask Max.
Oh, Max.
Our wonderful producer. For the first question, I'm interested in out of the Blazers start, what you think is sustainable and what's not. What have you liked from what you've seen, and what do you think is maybe, as we say, fool's
Well,
gold?
I agree with almost everything you guys hit on. To me, what sticks out is the bench and the defense, and the guy who's doing both, Zach Collins.
Yeah.
He's been great. Evan Turner's been great.
Yeah.
Can they keep this up? I think they can.
Yeah.
I think they can. I think they can do it.
He has the same concern you kind of had with
Yeah,
Zach Collins and Evan Turner.
And I did want to touch on those a little bit more. I think that Zach Collins, we might just be seeing his natural development in his second season. This might just be what he is.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to continue to shoot like 58% from the field, but maybe he will. And then Evan Turner, he's changed his game, and the Blazers have changed his role, so he's going to be more efficient than he was when he was just a standalone shooter for a guy who's not a shooter the first 2 seasons with the Blazers.
And he said publicly now that he's going for the 6th Man of the Year award.
Good.
And if the Blazers can get to between 50 and 60 wins and defy all these expectations, I think he's going to be a big reason why, and he could have a chance.
Yeah.
That's good that in our season preview I picked Evan Turner for 6th Man of the Year then.
Oh, yeah, you did.
Yeah, definitely did not do that. Okay, on to number 3. It's always the same question we have every week as we look forward to what's coming for the Blazers. Over the next week, they play 3 games before we meet again. starting tonight against the 6-4 Los Angeles Clippers. Then Sunday they finish this longest homestand of the season against the Boston Celtics before they go out on a 6-game road trip, and that starts with the Los Angeles Lakers. Of those 3 games, Jared, which ones do the Blazers win? Which ones do they lose?
So I'm gonna jump onto this bandwagon with both feet. I'm picking them to win all 3 of these games.
Oh, fire!
I think the Blazers have advantages in all 3 of these games. Their next 2 games are at home, like you said, closing out this road trip. They're not playing, back-to-backs in any of these games. Mm-hmm. And, you look at the Clippers, they're 2-3 on the road. Their 3 losses on the road have come by an average of 11 points. So they're not really putting it together. They've been great at home, but on the road they've been decidedly mediocre. So, and especially if Tobias Harris doesn't play, I just think the Blazers are a better team than the Clippers right now and will win that game. I still believe in the Celtics. I still think they're going to be, one of the best teams in the East, maybe the team that comes out of the East. There's the potential there. But they've been really up and down to start the season. And they also aren't good on the road. They're 3-3 on the road. The game they play against the Blazers is going to be their 5th road game on a 5-game road trip. And they're already 0-2 to start the road trip. They lost to the Pacers and they lost to the Nuggets. So I think, again, advantage Blazers. You've got, a good team, but a team that's coming in, going to be tired, end of a road trip. I'm going to give the Blazers to win at home. And then the Lakers, man, they're a mess. At home, they're 2-3. They're under 500 at home. And the loss that the Blazers had, they're going to want to avenge that loss. I mean, that was a really bad loss. For one thing, they shot 35 threes and made 6 in that game. The bench, that was the bench's only bad game of the season. They scored 26 points. They shot 34% from the field. They missed 12 of 14 threes. And even with all of that and how poorly the Blazers played, they made a big run, almost got back, got the lead back in the 4th quarter, and the Lakers only won by 4. So I think the Blazers will go in and get that win.
All right, so you got him going. You got him getting to 11-3 then. When
like
we
I said,
next week.
Fully on the bandwagon right now.
Jared's all in with the Blazers. I'm not quite all in, but for what is this, the 4th week in a row now we've done this? I'm going to pick the Blazers have a winning record again this week. I think they're going to go 2-1. Tonight's game is the one out of these 3 that I'm actually the most interested in seeing, just because I'm still kind of like everyone else. I'm trying to figure out what the Clippers exactly are.
Right.
Last year they traded away Blake Griffin, and then DeAndre Jordan signed away in the offseason. And everyone thought last year when they traded Blake Griffin, they kind of just fade away. But they didn't. They were in the playoff hunt until the 2nd or 3rd to last game of the year. DeAndre Jordan leaves. Everyone thinks they're kind of just going to fade away.
Yeah.
And they are 6-4 this year and have some decent wins so far this year. So tonight I want to see how the Blazers do against a team that they lack a superstar, but they are a complete team. Otherwise, they have a lot of good players on that team. I think it's going to be back and forth. I think it's going to be close, but I think the Clippers are going to come into Portland tonight and get the win. So that's the one game I have the Blazers losing.
Okay.
I'm with you on the Celtics. The Celtics, I think, like you said, will be one of the 2 teams that comes. One has a chance to be the team that comes out of the East.
Yeah.
But they're not hitting on all cylinders right now. They've been great defensively, offensively, up and down, inconsistent. I think in Portland, the Blazers get the win. And the Lakers, as you said, the Blazers shot 6 of 35 from 3 against the Lakers in the last matchup. And as poorly as they played during that stretch in the 3rd quarter when the Lakers went on an extended run, if the Blazers had just made a couple more threes in that game, they may have ended up winning that game. And so I don't think they're going to go 6 of 35 again. So I got the Blazers over the Lakers as well. Now, Orlando isn't here.
No.
But he did make some picks before he left. He also has the Blazers going 2-1. But unlike me, he's got him beating the Clippers tonight. And he's got him losing to the Celtics. And we're all in agreement that the Blazers go down to LA, the Showtime Lakers, and take care of business in the 3rd matchup against them. So,
if I was going to pick one game they lose, I think I would have picked the Celtics.
The Celtics.
I just think they're good.
I believe the Celtics, you said it was the end of their road trip. I believe it's also the 3rd game in 4 nights for them.
Wow.
Which
that's a lot,
And
compounds that, tired.
A lot of times
narrative.
You get teams at the end of a long road trip, they kind of just want to be done. And get back home. And they're going to have a cross-country flight after that game anyway. So that, again.
And if the Blazers win tonight and then they have a chance to finish the 6-game homestand 5-1, they're going to have a lot of motivation.
All right, it's time for the best part of this podcast. Max Barr, the Mike Ehrmantraut of the 3-on-3 Blazers podcast, is here for another fantastic edition of Rip It.
Oh, the
Slow rip over there.
That's kind of how Mike would have done it too. So Mike Ehrmantraut, just really quick, the reason I chose that, they're making a Breaking Bad movie.
They are?
And I'm really excited about that because Breaking Bad may be my favorite TV show of all time. And so I was thinking, who do I think is the MVP of Breaking Bad?
Oh.
Not only Breaking Bad, but also the spinoff, Better Call Saul, also a great show. It's Mike Ehrmantraut. He's my favorite character. So MVP of Breaking Bad, Mike Ehrmantraut, MVP of the 3-on-3 Blazers podcast, Max Barr, take it away.
What an honor. Woo! Thank you. It's great to be back with another week of Rip It. Now, after last week's game, you guys were totally worn out.
Yes.
Orlando said he was stressed. Jared, you said you were exhausted. You didn't think you could take this week after week. We're going to try to make this week's game a little less stressful.
Oh, man,
that's my
nice
goal.
of you.
Jared told me and Orlando to shut up last week so he could focus.
That's true.
We'll see if that focus paid off.
Yeah.
All right, so as we do every week, we're going to go back in time, recap week 3 of Rip It.
Okay.
I asked you guys which player would make more three-pointers in the Pelicans game, Damian Lillard or Nikola Mirotic.
Oh.
Jared, you picked Damian Lillard. Orlando and Nate picked Mirotic.
Such a homer.
It was Lillard.
Oh,
yes! No! The homer win.
Lillard was 4 for 7 that night. Mirotic only 1 for 6.
Oh, yikes.
So Jared's on the board. In the Lakers game, I asked you guys which player would score the most points. Evan Turner, Lonzo Ball, or Nick Stauskas. Jared, you and Nate both went with Lonzo. Orlando picked Evan Turner, and Orlando was right.
Oh, my God.
Orlando.
It was Evan Turner, and it wasn't close. Turner had 11 points. Ball and Stauskas both scored 3.
Oh.
That's not a good thing for Lonzo.
I think all these Rip It questions we've done all year, I think I've only gotten like one of them right.
In the Timberwolves game, I asked you guys who will get the most rebounds. Al-Farouq Aminu, T-Wolves forward Taj Gibson, or Caleb Swanigan.
Whoa.
All three of you guys picked Aminu. And Swanigan got in the game. He had 5 rebounds.
Oh, good for him.
Aminu had 6.
Ooh.
Gibson had 8.
Oh, no.
It was Taj Gibson.
Oh, no.
Nobody got that one.
Another miss.
Now, the Bucks game, I asked you guys 2 questions. The first one, which total would be higher, points scored by Jusuf Nurkic or rebounds by Giannis Antetokounmpo?
Oh, gosh.
All 3 of you guys, this was a surprise to me, went with Giannis rebounds.
Uh-oh.
And you were all wrong.
Yeah, I think we did.
No, gosh.
Nurkic scored 12 points, and Giannis was held down below his scoring and rebounding averages. He only had 9 rebounds that night.
We are doing terrible.
Gosh.
All my focus was for not.
Yeah.
Final question, same game. Which team would shoot the higher 3-point percentage, Bucks or Blazers? Jared, you and Nate both said the Bucks.
Oh, gosh.
Man,
No,
why?
missed that.
Orlando said the Blazers because they're at home. And this came down to 1 shot.
Oh, no
Oh,
kidding.
wow. Okay.
Wow.
Bucks 16 of 42, which is
the Blazers
38.1%. Blazers 17 of 43,
Gosh.
39.5%. And that
Who's
means
the winner?
Orlando.
Nate, unfortunately, you were 0 for 5.
I'm shut out.
Jared 1 for 5.
Oh.
Orlando with his second Rip It championship.
Oh, no.
Oh, man.
2 out of 5.
The absentee winner.
So congratulations, Orlando.
I want to recount.
He retains the belt. He's the only one who's won Rip
He's
It
got
so
it.
far.
But hey, here we
I
go.
think he's not here, so we'll just tell him that one of us won.
Yeah.
Well,
He's not gonna
I
listen.
told him he won.
Oh, man. Spoiled it.
Congrats, Orlando. So
We
now
all know he's listening right now.
he is.
Yeah.
It's a new week. Let's wipe the slate clean and
Regroup.
let's rip it once again. So yesterday I met with Orlando in an undisclosed location and got his answers to these questions.
Oh,
So
man.
I will be revealing his answers as we go.
I heard some talk behind the scenes of this, too.
Did you?
Yeah. I think there was some cheating involved to keep
Oh
this.
no! How dare you? How dare you?
If
First
you
question.
talk behind the scenes, that means you were cheating.
Rigged.
First question. Here we go. Clippers game tonight, Thursday. Which player will score the most points? Clippers forward Tobias Harris,
Gosh.
C.J. McCollum, or Clippers forward Danilo Gallinari? Now, we know Harris is questionable.
Right.
And
Gallo's been pretty
these
good.
points per game averages are all very close,
Yeah.
as you would expect.
I'm going to go with Gallinari.
All right.
I'm going to stick with a hot hand and go with CJ.
Okay. Orlando said CJ.
All right.
Celtics game.
I just want to copy Orlando now.
Yeah. Can you tell us what he picked first?
Right.
I will tell you on some of these.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you this time. Celtics
And I
at
will
Blazers.
copy.
Which player will finish with more assists? Damian Lillard or Boston's Kyrie Irving? Now, Orlando went with Kyrie. They're both averaging 5.3 assists per game.
All right, I'm going to go with Dame.
All right, Jared goes Dame. Nate, what do you
He
say?
gave it to you. You're not even
I
going to
know, but-
copy? I'm copying.
But
Oh,
if I want to beat Orlando, I have to go against the grain.
I'm copying. Kyrie.
All right,
Plus, Kyrie's going to be all tired.
he could be. We'll see.
He's good at passing the ball. We saw that in the stands just
Yes.
a couple nights ago.
Next question, same game.
He had every right to do that, by the way.
Which team will make more three-pointers? Blazers or Celtics? Jared, we'll start with you on this one.
Man, I don't know if the Celtics, what they do at the three-point line. I haven't.
Well, they average 12.9 makes from three per game.
Okay.
Blazers 11.6.
Give the home team the advantage. Blazers.
All right, Nate, what do you think?
Yeah, the Blazers.
Orlando went with the Celtics.
All right.
Oh, gosh. Well, they're going to... Anytime he goes separate
Even though
from
I've
us, that's
never
the
won, I'm
answer.
still totally confident I'm going to win.
He's all in on the Celtics. He's
Yeah.
got the Celtics winning, and he thinks the Celtics are going to make more threes. All right, Blazers at Lakers. Which player will finish with more rebounds? Evan Turner, Rajon Rondo, or Lakers forward Kyle Kuzma?
Turner, Rondo, Kuzma.
Turner, Rondo, or Kuzma? Nate, what do you think?
Kuzma.
Orlando went with Evan Turner on this one.
Oh, he's sticking with Evan Turner.
I think I'll go with Kuzma as well.
All right, final question. We did this week one. It's an over-under. Total points for LeBron James in the game. And the over-under is 27 and a half.
I think we all got this wrong when we did this
You
the
did.
very first
You did.
time.
Did
You
we
all
all
said
go over?
You all said over, and it was
Yeah.
under. Orlando went with the over.
Man, Orlando, I'm gonna double down. I'm also gonna go with the over.
I'm going to be the Rip It champion next week. So I'm going under, baby.
All right, under 27 and a half.
All right.
And that's it.
That was a much more calm game of Rip It. I feel good.
There it is.
Another game of Rip It in the books.
Nate next week. Going to be Rip It champion. Take that belt for Orlando. All right. Well, that was it. I think we did okay without
we did.
Orlando.
I
Well,
missed
obviously, we
I
missed
his
him.
energy. Yes.
Yes. It
We
was
want you back,
a
Orlando.
little more low-key
Yeah.
than normal, but
Yeah.
I think we got through it okay. We
Yeah.
persevered. And thank you, everyone, for listening to this week's 3-on-3 Blazers. Make sure to download the podcast, give us a comment, subscribe, and we'll talk next week. Go Blazers.